Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Business Growth Club. This is your weekly edition, and in this edition we're going to be looking at business blogging and how you can make blogging work for your business. Now you'll recall that a couple of weeks ago we sent you a video looking at the top 15 online marketing strategies for small businesses that are working right now in 2012 for those types of businesses. You'll recall at the end of it I said, please let me know the sort of strategies you'd like to work on so we can focus on them first and put them in a priority order for the Business Growth Club. Now, when we put all the responses together, blogging was actually your number one choice. Most of you wanted to know more about blogging, so that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to look at all the 15 strategies I mentioned in the coming weeks and months, but we thought we'd put blogging at the top of the list because that's one that most of you are looking to work on right now. Now, your queries around blogging fell into a couple of different categories. Some of you said, I'm already doing blogging but it's not working, can you help? Others said, I've been considering it, but I don't know if it'll work for me, my business, my industry, etc. And other people said, I want to do blogging, I've wanted to do for a long time, but I don't even know how to find a blog, I don't even know what one is really, so can you help there? Any of those situations are you, then we can definitely help you. Because on the menu today is, first and foremost, what is blogging? What's a blog and what's blogging? What's blogging for business, because it's different to a personal blog. Some examples from my own blog, so you can get to see a real life example of how a blog works in reality. Sometimes quite difficult to describe stuff, but if I can show you it in real life, then it should make sense to you. And blogging success stories and blogging success strategies. I'm going to show you some stories from my own blog and some strategies that you can apply to make blogging work for your business. Okay, so let's get started, and the first question is, what is a blog and what's blogging? Well, here on the screen is my blog, my Build a Better Business blog, and later on we're going to go into the internet live and we're going to have a look at the blog. But essentially a blog is a web page. You can either host it on your website, so there's a button next to, about me, services, contact us, blog, or you can have it as a separate website, www.myblog.com. And essentially a blog is a listing or a directory of posts, they're called blogs, sort of literal blog posts on your blog. So a series of articles, or it could be videos, generally it's written articles, but sometimes videos, posted generally quite often, usually weekly or more often. And it's just your thoughts, your opinions, your comments, and your information about the world. So they're supposed to be very raw and very real and very genuine. Your kind of honest opinions on what's going on in the world. And really it's just commentary. It started with expert commentary, but then individuals started blogging. Quite famously, the Prime Minister then started having a blog. So they've been around for a long time, but they're still an effective marketing format. Now, we're going to look a little bit later, as I've said, at a blog live. So we'll look at some of the reasons why you might want to blog in your business. Now, first and foremost, and this is easily the most important reason, blogging is absolutely brilliant for driving traffic for your website. It's amazing for search engine optimization, it's great for social media, it's great for emails, and a whole raft of other marketing strategies, and I'll touch on 8 of the best ones later on. But it's great for traffic. Most of you tell me you've got a website, you spent money on it, but you're not getting any traffic, and blogging is a brilliant way to overcome that. Secondly, it builds your niche brand. Remember, I've said you can't build a brand with everybody. It has to be your chosen target market, your niche. But it doesn't do that in a kind of whack you across the back of a head way that a sales letter or a telephone call does. It's by invitation. You're not whacking them around the head. You're actually leading them by the hand, and they're deciding that they want to come onto your blog. Now, because they're doing that and because it's opt-in, it means it can establish expertise and credibility in a lot more of a genuine way. So it's brilliant for doing that. And it's also cost effective, but it works. There's a lot of online marketing that's cheap but doesn't work, so it's not really cost effective. But this is cheap, but it really does work. So there's some reasons why you might want to use it for your business. Now, what sort of businesses will blogging work for? As you know, I believe businesses split themselves into 4 core categories: service, trade, products, and retail. Now, most service sector businesses already know a little bit about blogging, even if they're not currently blogging. And every service sector business should really have a blog. And there you're sharing your expert how-to information. However, it's not just for service sector businesses. Take, for instance, a trade business. Very few trade businesses I know of blog. But if we use the example of the builder who does loft conversions, blogging is absolutely perfect for you. Because people want to know how to do loft conversions, what's involved in a loft conversion, what to do. Do I need to apply to the council for planning permission? Do I need to get a builder to do this? Do I need an architect? Or why? Why do a loft conversion? Are there pros and are there cons, and how do I do it? Now, no one out there is providing that information, but as I've said so many times before, prospects go on a buying cycle, and if you can be there online with information during their buying cycle, then that's absolutely brilliant, and you'll become their provider of choice. So very few trade businesses do blogging, but it has so many applications, and it really could work for a trade business. Whilst I said most service sector businesses blog, you actually have to become very competitive in that organization. In that sphere, you have to become very competitive. You have to be better than your competition. There's literal competition for who you click on in the kind of the sources. Take the sort of stuff I talk about, growing your business. A lot of people are doing it. With a trade business, very few people will be talking about it, so you have no competition, which is absolutely brilliant. So don't dismiss it if you're a trade business. You might not be that comfortable about blogging, but I'm sure as you get more to grips with how to write marketing pieces and how to do the stuff we talk about in the Business Growth Club, you'll see it could be a great strategy for you. A product business should absolutely be blogging. Whatever your product pain or gain is, I've talked about pain, so people need a product which solves a problem or gives them an opportunity, a gain. You absolutely need to dominate the space. So wherever people are talking about your product, if your product is a home study French course, then you need to be up there in Google for when people are up there on social media and just communicating with people who are trying to find out about that sort of activity. And I'll come on to the marketing strategies later, but wherever people are talking about your product, if it's French language lessons, wherever they talk about that, you need to be. And blogging will help you to do that. And retail, well, some of the retail blogs out there for the big brands are brilliant because it works so well. Retail's about trends, it's about fashions, it's about reviews, it's about comments, it's about the kind of the fads in the industry. None of the retail members of the Business Growth Club are supermarkets. You're all boutiques really, selling a boutique product or a boutique item. So blogging would really work with you, and that's how you build a sense of community. So that's some of the reasons why you might do blogging. Another very popular reason is a blog is a much better version of a newsletter. Now, I'm not saying don't do offline newsletters or don't do e-zines, but you'll find that a blog can work so much better. It's easier to produce and it's cheaper to produce, much, much cheaper than producing offline or even e-zines. The lifespan's much better. Essentially, I call most newsletters are a one-hit wonder. You've got to arrive on the doormat and people have got to read it or bin it, and you've got that choice. With a blog, you can keep hitting them with the same information, so it's easily repeatable. It's got a much longer lifespan because you can have your newsletter in the shape of your blog online, and you can update it over time so it doesn't go out of date, whereas a newsletter has to be updated. So you might advertise your seminars or your products or your special offers in a newsletter, and it's time limited, it's time sensitive, where a blog isn't. Also, a newsletter can never develop a community of people commenting and interacting and you developing fans and people who are following you, and a blog does that. So a lot of people, even if they're not doing it for traffic drivers or the other reasons I've mentioned, they say, well, why have an old-fashioned offline newsletter or an e-zine, why not have a blog? I'm not saying don't do offline newsletters or e-zines, they can still work, but a blog is a cost-effective kind of alternative to them. It's got lots of benefits, as I've mentioned there. Okay, so I've talked a lot now about kind of blogs and what they are. So why don't we go on to have a look at my Build a Better Business blog so you can see what a blog is in real life, if you will, and then it might start to come to life for you. So we've just hopped over to the internet, and now I'm on the internet and I'm on the Build a Better Business blog. This is my blog, and as you can see, it's a particular design. It's not a bad design, but it might surprise you to know that I've not paid a designer for this. I've got a WordPress blog where there's literally thousands of themes, so you can make the website look very professional. There's tons of them to choose from. I'm going to show you how to do that in a future video, but you can make your website look professional like this one. You don't have to pay for it. I will later on in this video mention ones that you can buy, but they're only about $80, which is what, 55 pounds, something like that. Not very much at all, which work even better, and I've been experimenting with one, and I'll talk about that later. But you don't have to pay a penny for a WordPress blog like this. And as you can see, this one is at www.switchblog.net, but you can have it as a click on your website. There's a big debate as to whether you host your website internally or externally, on your website or on a separate website. I don't want to go into that now. I would just say that if you don't really know too much of a difference, I would host it externally for now. And I would get yourblog.com. There's a number of reasons. I won't really run into them. It would just work better for now. But as you can see, normally a blog is just a number of posts. So on the 22nd of March, I posted something. And then you scroll down, and on the 15th of March I posted something. As you can see, it's just a written article. You get some of these articles in the emails I send you. So that's what it's like. And as you can see, 6 people commented. So if you click on this, when people have read the blog, then people comment. So people have said thanks for the blog and asking questions, and just people are interacting with you. 6 people commenting on one blog post is not bad. So as you can see with this blog, it's just a series of posts, what we call blogs. That's what blogging is, producing all of these. So as we scroll down, you'll see I've written something here, again 6 comments. You just can't sell to big businesses, question mark. I got 7 comments. You can do these as videos. I've used videos. I personally prefer, in the most part, these written articles for a couple of reasons. I prefer to use videos via websites and via YouTube, but there's no real reason to stop you from doing it. These are just articles, as you can see. This one, a funny thing about small business marketing, and I've just talked about how the mistakes people make, and I'm giving them advice. So I'm just sharing expertise. If you were a builder about loft conversions, this might be pitfalls to avoid when you're looking at a loft conversion, and you'll give them some advice. So that's all the posts. Now some people's blogs just have these posts. However, I prefer to build a bit of a website around it. So I add a sidebar, as it's called, so I can actually collect followers. Now you'll notice my blog, I'm going to show you the traffic I get later on, but I've only got 13 followers. That's basically because people don't follow blogs anymore. I get several hundred hits a day on this blog, but only 13 people bother following it. I'm 99% certain those 13 people are competitors of mine. I'm sorry if you're one of these, if you genuinely follow my blog and you're genuine, but I actually believe they're all competitors. People don't follow your blog. That's not what it's about. I'll explain that in the marketing strategy that comes later. But I've got that box there just in case somebody wanted to follow it, but most people don't anymore. So just a word of warning, if you've got a blog and no followers, don't worry about it. It is not a problem. I've got a feed from one of my colleagues here, their tweets. There's a reason why my tweets don't go here and one of my colleagues do. Essentially, I tweet a lot about this blog, and my colleague doesn't, and it will look a bit stupid if on my blog I said go and read my blog. So that's why that happens. I've got recent comments here, so as you can see all these comments, this just shows people are talking. I've got the top rated advice, so this one here, how do you create adverts that win sales every time, or 10 top tips for time management. So essentially you see it's a bit of a website with a sidebar, and I've got different pages. So this one's about, so I've just got a bit of information about who we are. This one is about the Business Growth Club, because I want people to play this video and hopefully submit an application to join. And I've got more information about the Business Growth Club. I've got videos, and these are from YouTube. Like I say, I don't like to use videos as posts, but don't worry about that for now. So I've just got some videos. I've got some tips. This is where people can sign up to receive my newsletter. And I've got one person who's posted a question. I've got an Ask the Experts button here, so people can submit questions. People do this all the time. This is quite good. It's a way of just interacting with your customers. If you were a builder who wanted to do loft conversions, and people wanted to ask you questions about, do you need council permission to do a loft conversion, you probably want to capture their details and have a conversation with them. Very often people will ask me questions, and I'll say, why don't I set up a phone call and talk to you about it? And I do, and then quite often they will come on board as clients. Contact, obviously, you'd expect that. And this one here, which is quite important, claim your free guide, 110 proven ways to explode your profits now. by now you guys know what I'm all about. This is data capture. I'm giving people a nice little report, and they fill in their details. And we've actually got some responses. So there's somebody here saying, thanks, it arrived today, and there really are 110 ideas, and I think he thinks they're quite good. Somebody else is saying, thank you very much for sending me this. There's a comment for me, this person's asked me questions. This is absolute gold dust. I've got somebody who's a potential customer, and they're asking me questions and I'm responding to them. That's an interactive community. Other forms of marketing can't do that. And then Laura here has just said, thanks for the report. So clever, you guys rock. That's that's quite nice, isn't it? So you can see people are interacting with the blog, and that's quite important. The point I'm trying to illustrate with all of this is a mini website, as well as just being a blog, but this is essentially expertise from me. So it's me sharing my opinion. So does it work? I mean, you've seen that this, I post these, you see 22nd of March, 15th of March, 7th of March, 28th of February. So I do this one a week, and it takes me it doesn't take me a long time. It takes me 10 minutes actually to write these blogs, but yeah, I'm quite used to writing this sort of stuff now. But it's still a lot of effort. So is the blog worth it? Am I just producing rubbish? Well, let's have a look at the stats. This is the stats for my blog. So this is the last, I think it's 2 weeks or so. So this is the scale. So let's have a look at over here, which was the 28th of February. I'm recording this on the 28th of March, which is my birthday, interestingly. So you might like to send me a birthday card, although you'll receive this in a week or so's time, so it'll be too late. But it's my birthday today, so I'm still working hard. So on the 28th of February, we had 108 views on one day. And then the next day we had 29th of February, which is a leap year, and we had 256 views. Oh, this was good. On the 1st of March we had 513. Oh, actually, this is a WordPress blog, and WordPress is absolutely brilliant. You can get a blog from so many different people. Type in blog into Google and you'll get a zillion and one different blogs. I recommend WordPress because it's an absolute amazing tool. It gives you so many tools, which I'll talk about later on how to promote your blog. There's one bugbear I have, and it's this. This often happens. It will tell you you've had 513 hits one day, so you get really excited and you've doubled your hits. And then the next day it says you've had 59, hardly any hits. And actually, I believe, I've no proof, but I'm pretty sure that was just an equal distribution. And it somehow has recorded them on the next day, and it can drive you a little bit mad. So we had 213 views, 347, 197, so these are around about an average of 250, 186. You can see what's happening. Again, this is one of these ones where I had 174 views, which is a normal day. Then I had 6 views, then I had 434. So it's just the way it counts them. I think it must be, maybe it's American and it's 6 hours behind or something. I don't know, but fundamentally, I'm getting an awful lot of traffic to this blog. I'll show you later how I get this traffic. But I'm not really spending very much money. I'm spending a bit of time, but not very much money. And if I asked you, are you getting this number of visitors to your website? I've chosen to host this blog externally for lots of reasons. I'm not going to go into them. I would just advise you, if you don't know the difference, host it externally. I'll probably cover the reasons in the webinar, because I'm sure many of you will have questions. But for now, I just want to show you how it works. So you can just see there's a lot of hits here. I think the daily average is about 250 people every day. It dips a bit at the weekend from memory, but it shoots up a bit during the week. However, the observant ones among you will see this absolutely massive one here. So this one is 218, 314, that's about normal, average of 250 or so. And then on this day, the 22nd of March, I had 1,944 hits. And you can see that it says, I published the article, A Good Budget for Business. Now, this was the day after the budget, and I'll show you the marketing I did a little bit later on for this, but I managed to get just shy of 2,000 hits on the budget. So this was the day after the budget, and I produced an opinion piece, which I'll show you a little bit later, and this is the number of hits I got. The next day I got 1,269, still seeing the effects of that. And then the next day we're probably going back down to normal. This was the 24th of March. I had 494 That's not bad. The next day I had 305, so back to normal. The next day I had 413, so maybe that's a Monday, so maybe at the weekend it went quiet, and I'm still seeing a bit of the effect from this. And then yesterday I had 313. So far today I've had 138. It's not bad. It's only lunchtime, so that's not bad. It's about 12:30, so I've got another 12 hours to get kind of double that. But as you can see, I had this massive number of hits. So what happened on this day to give me 2,000 hits and then 1,200 hits the next day? Well, I promoted this article, which was a kind of Q&A about the budget, which you probably received in one of the emails I sent to you. But I did something a little bit different with this. I actually, at the end of this, I talked about this and I said it's a pretty rubbish budget for businesses, but I said to help business owners prosper, I've produced a 5-part video series and guide showing any business how they can make 2012 amazing, and I've said how any business can beat the recession and make 2012 their best ever year. And at the bottom here I had data capture, so I invited people to say I'll have a copy of that. Now I'm just going to look at my piece of paper here. I had 37 people in total join my 5-part series, where I produced an informational product, a little bit like this one, telling people how to prosper in the budget and make the budget work for them. Now I know when people download my 5-part video series and guides that generally speaking I get a 1 in 6 conversion into a client over 12 months. Now you might not know those numbers for your business right now because you've not been doing it long enough, but basically I know for every 6 people who download one of my training videos or download a free copy of one of my interactive guides, about, as I say, 1 in 6 of those people becomes a client in 12 months. That's why I do it. This is the informational marketing we've talked about. So I had, in total, I probably had an uplift of about 3,500 hits to my website, well, to the blog, which is quite a huge number. And I got 37 responses, so that's about 1 in 90. Yeah, about 1 in 90. So 1 in 90 people who read this said I'll have a copy of the guide. That's not bad really, but given the fact that I didn't pay a penny for any of this, it's not bad at all. So 37 people. I know on my averages that 1 in 6 of those people will become a client. So that means I've got kind of 5 or 6 new clients from that experience, which is not bad at all. So that's when I've gone into kind of super blogging mode and I've promoted this, and I'll show you how I did that. Another example I'll show you was this was in October, so nearly half a year ago. I wrote an article, "What does your World Cup look like?" And I basically commented on the Rugby World Cup and how, as I said there, on Sunday the 23rd of October 2011, 30 ordinary men were crowned world champions. In doing so, they achieved their life's work. Whatever happens from this day forward, they've reached the pinnacle of their world and achieved their ultimate prize. No one can ever achieve any more than that. They've left an incredible mark on history. So I essentially say this is amazing. And then I ask business owners, do you feel that about your business? And if not, you need to get it kind of sorted, almost. And I got 29 people responding to this, which is quite a large number of people. You can read all of the comments here. People saying this is. I generally don't get negative comments on the blog. I get spam, which you just get rid of. But lots of people basically said, "I love this piece." They said what their World Cup was. I had a real buzz, and out of all of these people, I offered them. Again, I offered them a free report and a free videos, and they came on board as clients. You kind of see how this works. Now, I know these are examples about my business, but I'm not really trying to show you how you would do something if you were in the same sector as me. I'm trying to show you that you can get a couple of hundred hits every day onto your website or onto your blog, and how you can have your potential customers interacting with you, and how you can get people downloading your reports or requesting free trials or joining the Business Growth Club, all of that kind of stuff for your business. I want people to sign up for Business Growth Club via this blog. That's why there's that link. You might want them to request an appointment with you, or to buy a small product, or to request a quote. This is a Now Just Your Business. What I sell is expertise, and I want people to join this Business Growth Club. That's what this blog is all about. You might want people to, as I say, request a quote, meet with you. If you're a service sector business, you might want them to come to one of your free seminars, or the first step on the ladder. But the point is, people come on board. I probably get, in my estimation, about one new client a month via the blogging. People go into my system and they fall out of the filter. And I also go to meetings where people, I had one the other day actually, when I was in a sales meeting with a potential new client, and they started quoting my blog at me saying, "Oh, I read this in your blog and I think that'll work for our business." You can have that experience in your business. You can be sat there in front of a potential customer talking about the loft conversion, and they say, "I want the kind of loft conversion that you talked about in your blog because you said I could do this," and I thought that was really clever. Do you see how that person is not going to be price sensitive? They're not going to haggle with you. They're not going to be difficult. It's order taking. These people are order taking. There'll be people listening to this who found me and come on board the Business Growth Club from reading my blog. And basically what they've done is they've found it. They've read what I'm all about. They go, "This guy knows what he's talking about." They've probably requested some trial period. Maybe they subscribe for the £1 trial we did a few months ago. So they've come on board on a no risk experience, and they thought, "This is good. I'm going to come on board." So you know how it works because you're now hopefully a happy customer of the Business Growth Club. You must be a happy customer because you just leave, wouldn't you? So you can see how this works, and this is analogous to any business out there. Service sector, product business, retail business, trade business. You can have your customers interacting with you, finding out what you're all about, and coming on board as customers. So I'm going to look now at the marketing strategies I employ and you can employ in your business to have these kind of results. So I'm going to jump back over to PowerPoint and carry on with the presentation. Okay, before I go any further, I just want to say I know I'm going quite quick and I'm throwing a lot at you. And I've just shown you a blog there and I've talked about loads of different stuff, and you might be a little bit confused. I am recording another video which will show you how to create a blog. It will be a live demo with me where I will create a blog for somebody. In fact, if there's anybody listening to this who wants a blog creating, email me and I will create you a blog, and I'll make that a video for everyone else in the Business Growth Club. So I'll take information about your business, I'll create you a blog, and I'll film it and I'll let everybody see how we create a blog for a member. So if you don't mind other people seeing your blog, then I'll actually do it just for a genuine member. So I'll show you how to create a blog. So I'll show you how to do it, and I'll show you how to do more of the marketing tactics. But I just want to show you the power of blogs. And if you are blogging right now, I just want to show you how you can start to optimize it. And I want to show you, if you're wondering about blogging, that it is a really good marketing tactic for you. Now in this slide I'm going to talk about the different stuff you can do to promote your blog and how you can get the kind of success that people are getting. I know people who sell something every day through their blog. They're really into it. So it's a real powerful resource. You've seen the results I get from it. So let's look at the top marketing strategies. Now the first one is easily search engine optimization. There's an awful lot of utter rubbish out there about search engine optimization, SEO, and you can pay people a lot of money for it, and it's a black art, and some of it's con artists. Now if you do blogging via WordPress, and I'll show you later how you get a WordPress blog, it's the one I use. There's a plugin, don't worry what a plugin is, it's just a piece of software that's absolutely free called All-in-One SEO, and it is an absolutely amazing SEO tool. It's actually better than a lot of SEO tools out there that you can spend a lot of money on. It works absolutely brilliantly, and it will really get you up in the search rankings on Google for the sort of stuff you want. So if you want loft conversions and you want to optimize the best loft conversions or loft conversions information, all of that sort of stuff, whatever happens to work for your business, I'll show you in that video when I'm going to create a blog for somebody, the all-in-one SEO plugin that works absolutely amazingly. WordPress and Google are best friends. They absolutely love it. Basically, blogging is all about real content, because essentially I write articles about how to grow a business, and they're I'm not being arrogant, but they're good. They're valuable. They're a kind of genuine article, and that's what people want. Now, a lot of SEO is almost tricking the search engine to find your website, whereas with a blog, it's genuine. So if you're genuinely giving people really helpful tips on how to do loft conversions, and they're going to become customer of yours because of that, then if you're doing that via WordPress, then Google will absolutely love you. So Google and WordPress are best friends. Now I get 50% of my traffic via the optimized phrases. You can only pick a couple of phrases that you want to be optimized for. I do business growth themes, so growing your business, that sort of stuff. I don't want to tell you the exact phrases I use because it's they're worth quite a lot of money to me. A lot of trial and errors involved in them, but basically about business growth. But I also want to warn you, you'll get 50% of your traffic by random stuff. For instance, I mentioned a long time ago now on my blog the ancillary product theory, and I got a trillion hits to the website. It was all students, I believe, researching it for their university essays, so that was no good for me. So just be aware of that as well, that you can get untargeted traffic. And whilst I get a lot of traffic from the UK, I also get people from the USA, from Australia, and from New Zealand. I don't quite know why, and they're not. They can join the Business Growth Club, and that's good, but they're not 100% applicable. So I'm saying this to warn you that whilst I might have 250 hits a day, and you might be able to get that with your blog, kind of half of it will be untargeted stuff. So just be aware of that with your blog. But essentially, SEO. If you want to do SEO and you don't want to pay any money for it, a WordPress blog or even a WordPress website, which is a next step up, and I'll be talking about that in May or June time, then it works absolutely brilliantly. Don't worry, there's another video showing you how to do that. But just know that if you want to get ranked heavily for certain search terms, then it's absolutely brilliant for you. Other marketing tactics, you can actually send people via pay-per-click onto your website. You need to be good at data capture, and I've been experimenting with a new blog model. It's something you have to pay for, but it's only about $80, which is incredibly cheap. But it's a slightly beefier version of a normal blog that's great at data capture. And I've been experimenting with some pay-per-click campaigns, and they're working very well for getting people, particularly when people are in the information of buying cycle. You'll notice a lot of these marketing tactics are actually tactics that you can already use, and I've probably already mentioned, but will work really well for a blog. Same with display advertising on network sites, on Facebook and social media, that sort of stuff. Video marketing, you can produce videos on YouTube that drive traffic onto your blog. It's also promoted via social media. If you want to get links to your blog and people onto your website, people finding out what you're all about, then if you just tweet, buy my WOF conversion, it's not going to work. If you tweet 7 pitfalls of WOF conversions, read this if you're planning a WOF conversion, and you post that on Facebook and Twitter and that sort of stuff, then you're obviously going to get more traffic, and these people will turn into followers and turn into customers. WordPress makes it incredibly easy. For instance, if you use Twitter, there's a plugin called Tweet Old Post. And what that does is every couple of hours it tweets one of your old blog posts. So it's kind of 24 hours a day, every day of the year. Your WordPress blog is tweeting for you. So it will tweet the title of the blog. So how to avoid common pitfalls with a WOF conversion, and it'll have a link to it. There's loads of other ones like social media sharing. WordPress is just brilliant for social media. So all of those tactics are a brilliant way of bringing more traffic to your website. There's also more advanced stuff, such as article marketing, which is when you promote your articles on other people's websites, essentially. Pick where your target market will go. If you know that your target market is going somewhere, then you can do a display banner advertisement there, you can post a video there, you can post an article, and that links back to your blog and back to your website. If you get good at blogging, there's not many people who are good at it, so you will start to pick up quite soon into your journey. You'll start to be asked whether you'll guest post on people's blogs. So people will want to do guest interviews with you, or guest article, blog posts and that sort of stuff, and of course you have a link back to your website. That's great for link building as well. There's also Space Invaders, as I call them, and this is how primarily we got so many hits on the budget and also the World Cup. Basically, we have a list of all of the websites out there that we know our target market go to. My target market's business owners who want to grow their business, and I know the sort of websites they go on. It might be the FSB website, it might be the local Northeast business forums, that sort of stuff. I know where they go, and essentially I posted, it wasn't me, it was one of my team, went onto all of those websites and we posted a little bit of information and a link back to our blog post on the budget. So we said, are you worried about the budget? Will it work for you? We went onto websites where people were talking about the budget, and we posted a link back to our article on the blog. As you know, we got nearly 3,500 people across 4 or 5 days coming onto the blog. And looking at that article, we got 37 of them into our sales funnel, and I know that 1 in 6 of those will convert into a customer That's my kind of my average, and that was just going where my target market hangs out and posting information. So I'm saying, why not come and visit my blog? Don't worry if I'm running through these quite quickly. It's just too much in one video here for me to cover. I'm just giving you a brief introduction and just quick ideas you can get on with straight away, but I will be doing a whole video on article marketing, guesting and space invading in the future, but it's very powerful. As I say, we just found out where our target market goes, and we went there and we posted the links back to our website, and we got people onto the blog, and as I say, people into their sales filter. There's also email marketing. This affects the old debate. Do you send graphical emails? I've been experimenting with about 250, 300 people on my list of sending them a very quick headline and just a link to a blog. So instead of me sending them an article every week, I send them a link to my blog every week. You get slightly less people clicking on it, but the people who do probably are interested. But once you get them there, you actually have people who are more likely to find out more about your organization, and they're more likely to download reports and get involved and comment. So it's more interactive. So less traffic, but more interactive. So if you're doing email marketing, that could be a way of doing it. You can also put more complex stuff on your blog, such as a video, and then email out about it. And you can't really use a video in email because it will get blocked. Also label your blog everywhere you go. I have it on stuff like business cards, if I produce reports, and just everywhere I go, even if I'm giving a speech somewhere, I might talk about a blog and how I can get more information there, and that works as well. There's a fair bit of traffic that comes from that. Also community marketing. I'm going to talk about this in that video where I show you a new blog model and how it can really work. But community marketing, essentially it's a bit like the Space Invaders. You go out there and you get kind of followers onto your blog. I don't mean people who've signed up to your blog, but I mean people who are kind of just on the internet, everywhere else on the internet. They find your website, your blog, they come over to your blog, and then they kind of form a community because they keep coming back. If you look at my blog, you'll see it's similar people. There are new people commenting, but it's similar people commenting. And of course, I hope that those people, when they are proven that I'm kind of an expert and I know what I'm talking about, they'll come on board as clients. Okay, so what else can we do in terms of marketing to make our blog work? Well, I will never know the impact that my blog will have on building my brand, on raising my credibility, on giving me a better reputation, and actually on out-positioning my competition. Because if a lot of people want to use my competition, not me, and they don't have a blog packed full of hundreds of articles on growing your business, I don't know how many people have read my blog, not my competitors, and thought, actually this person knows what they're talking about. I can't quantify that, but as I say, I can tell you that I have meetings with people the first time I've met them, and they say, oh, I found you via your blog, and they quote stuff in my blog that they like. And of course, that's not a difficult sales meeting to convert people to customers. I'll never be able to measure that impact. You won't in your business. But if you are doing blogging properly, I'm pretty sure it will raise your brand in your niche. It will raise your credibility. It will give you a better reputation. And it will help you to outposition your competition because people interact with you more. So you can kind of leave your competition for dead. So, should you be blogging? Because I know I've gone through this at breakneck speed, and we're going to do more videos on this, and it was the number one concern you had. How do I make blogging work? So I've decided to cover it very quickly. There'll be more information coming your way. You've always got the webinar to submit more questions, but hopefully if you're thinking about blogging or you are blogging, I've given you loads of ways to make it work. But should you be blogging? Well, basically, I would say, are people on their buying journey looking for information about your area of business? Whether you're a tradesperson, whether you're a product business, a retail business, or a service sector business, are people in their buying journey looking for information in your area of business? If you are, you should be blogging, because you can provide helpful, useful, constructive information which builds your credibility with people. You use data capture, which brings those people in, and then they become clients of yours. So if you have people searching for your area of expertise, and everybody who runs a business is an expert in the area that they practice their business in, then you should be blogging. Because of all the reasons I've mentioned, it's great for your SEO. It's much better than your traditional SEO. It gets genuine traffic. You can promote it via social media. You can promote it via all the other channels I've mentioned. If you want to know if it's for you, then are people searching for information about your business, your area of expertise? If they are, then the answer is yes. Okay, as I say, I know I've gone through this really quickly. There'll be more information, but what do you do to take action to actually, benefit from this? Well, if you haven't got a blog already, I'd recommend you set up a WordPress.com blog. And all you do, and I'm going to do it now, is you go to the internet, which is here. You go to WordPress.com, and you click here, Get Started, and you set yourself up a blog. But honestly, I don't think you'll need my help. Look, this is all you need to fill in. So easy. There's loads of videos on how to make a WordPress blog work. I would say book an hour out in your diary, and you'll have a blog up there that looks really good, that's working. So that's how you would do it. There is WordPress.org. I know that's confusing. WordPress.com is a quick and easy free blog. WordPress.org is a complicated blog that will cost you, as I say, about $80. I'm currently experimenting with one of those. Whilst it will cost you a bit more money, there's a lot more functionality and it's a lot better at data capture. And that's what I'll be doing. In the video, I'll be focusing on that as well. If you're already blogging, then optimize it. Pick at least one of the strategies I've talked about here. And actually, whether it's social media, whether it's the tweet old post one, whether it's the all-in-one plugin for SEO, whether it's promoting it by going onto all of the different websites where your target market is and you want to post blogs with backlinks to your comments with backlinks back to your blog, then do it. And as I say, if you're considering it, then dip your toe in with a WordPress.com blog. That brings us to the end of today's recording. I know it's been quick, but I just wanted to prove to you how powerful blogging is. And I wanted to convince everybody out there who's in a different type of industry to a service sector business like a trade, a retail, or a product-based business, that blogging really can work. I wanted to show you that it can be effective, and the results I've had and the results clients of mine have had, which I've alluded to. So now you know what blogging is all about. You know whether or not it's for your business. You know that it can be a very cost-effective marketing tool. You know that a WordPress blog is Google's best friend, and I know that you want traffic from Google onto your website. So don't worry, there'll be more videos in the future about blogging. This is just a brief introduction to this topic, but as you can see, there's a load you can take away now and apply to your business. Any questions, please submit them to the webinar. And we'll answer all of those. But hopefully this has convinced you that blogging is a great idea for your business. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been helpful. You'll hear from me again in a week's time. So between now and then, have an absolutely brilliant time in business, and I look forward to talking to you soon.